Hello and welcome to this presentation. My name is Dr. Kirsty McIntyre and I am a lecturer in the undergraduate medical school here at the University of Glasgow. And this presentation is called I Felt as if I was there. Can virtual reality enhance students' learning experience of immunology teaching? Immunology, the study of the immune system, is a challenging topic for undergraduate medical students. We find that students often struggle to conceptualise immune cell interactions and find it difficult to recall information. Our immunology teaching in the undergraduate medical school has been traditionally delivered through didactic teaching, such as lectures and problem-based learning. Virtual reality, or VR, is said to offer an immersive environment that encourages active participation with the subject matter. And this aligns with the university's learning and teaching strategies pillar of student-centred active learning, which prompts educators to redesign teaching to support interactivity and students' independent learning skills. The Battling Infection VR simulation was created as part of the University VR Teaching Ideas competition in 2017. And it is this simulation that we adopted in September 22 in the undergraduate medical school. We implemented this VR for our first year undergraduate medical students, and this took place in week 2 of first semester 2022. To ensure that our students got the most out of the VR lab itself, we developed a pre-lab online activity, and we delivered this via the online interactive lab software, LT. Students were familiar with the LT platform because we use it for pre-labs to supplement other in-person labs. And in the VR lab, the students learned what to expect when they came to the in-person VR lab, and they were given questions to answer to engage their learning and contextualise the VR lab in relation to their prior teaching, such as lectures, problem-based learning, and so on. The VR lab itself took place in Partick Borough Hall. We have 330 students in Year 1 Medicine, and the setup in the lab can take a maximum of 30 students at one time, with 15 students experiencing the VR and then them swapping for their partners to have a go. So in all, we had 13 runs of the lab and 317 of our students attended. When they come into the lab, the students experience in the simulation, they experience the bacterial infection Salmonella. And the students have to answer questions and interact with immune cells, examine these, pick them up and so on to eliminate the infection successfully. They are inside the body in the simulation, and they visit areas of the body such as the intestine, travelling in the bloodstream, and then visiting the lymph nodes. And with each of the choices that they have to make, they have multiple chances to have a go and to explore what would happen in each case. We saw ethical approval from the MVLS Ethics Board to conduct a voluntary subjective learning experience survey to gather our students' perceptions of the VR lab. And the survey contained both quantitative and qualitative questions to enable us to explore the themes that came out of the students' responses. We had a very high completion rate with 233 students completing the survey, which is 74% of those who attended and about 71% of the year group. And we find from the survey that the majority of our students, 56% of them, had never experienced VR before. Looking at these quantitative data, so you can see the responses here with the dark blue corresponding to strongly disagree, agree in the lighter blue colour, neutral is in this slate colour, agree in the light yellow pumpkin colour, and this rust colour represents those who selected strongly agree. Looking at the responses then, so 97% of the survey participants agreed or strongly agreed that they enjoyed the battling infection simulation. 96% of them said that it helped them to visualise the process more than a lecture presentation would. 94% of them responded and agreed that said that the VR helped them to follow the immune response in space and time, and that they had a sense of being there. Most students disagreed with the statements that the VR was too simplistic or gimmicky with no additional value. And 71% of students disagreed with the statement, my time could have been used better learning from lectures or other resources. Students were generally supportive of the greater use of VR in teaching. In the free text responses that followed, students suggested ways that we could implement VR to supplement, for example, their anatomy teaching. Moving on now to take a look at the free text boxes. The students were asked firstly to tell us what they enjoyed, what they found valuable about the VR simulation, and then they were asked what they didn't enjoy or what they found they did not like about it. So this is a word cloud which looks at some of the text responses to what they enjoyed about it. And you can see here some really key things coming across. For example, that they found it fun, that it was enjoyable. The first theme that came out of these responses was that the students valued the interactivity or active element of it. They liked being able to hold the cells and identify it, and they found that this helped them visualize what was happening and was more interactive than a lecture. Relatedly, the students said that the experience was immersive. They felt like they were actually in the body and they could explore and see what was happening. And finally, the third area or theme that came out was that the VR helped consolidate their learning. This student said, it made me think. It also joined all the dots together and really helped me understand the order of the cells in the immune response. Taking a look at what the students did not like or found challenging, you can see here that many of them said that there was nothing they didn't like, but the key theme that came up was the length. Many said it was short, or this student said it could have been longer, or with different variations of the scenario, since, as I described before, they have already seen their partner answer the questions. The second theme that came up was to do with how they would actually retain this information. Students saying that they couldn't take notes from it, or they don't think that they'll be able to retain the information given. And finally, in line with other studies that have looked at virtual reality, some students reported discomfort using the technology. This student saying, it makes me feel weird or off balance. So what's next for this work? At the time of recording this, the Year 2 BSc Microbiology and Immunology students are completing the same VR simulation and survey. And we are interested in their experiences and whether there's anything to be learned from comparing the two cohorts. We know that almost 30% of the students attended the lab, and of those, 95% of those completed the experience survey. The initial findings look very similar, with key points that are focused on was the active element, immersive, and also the short length and issues with the technology. So to conclude, our feedback suggests that students are engaging actively with content when they experience the VR lab. They said it was immersive, fun, and engaging. They had an active role in their learning and not just a passive experience. Our results align with previous studies that VR can help with revision or the consolidation of knowledge. However, we know that there's mixed evidence that VR improves understanding or retention of knowledge. And I'd be interested in discussing with you whether we think this matters, whether the enhancement is enough to justify the use of VR. I'd like to thank you very much for your time. I'd also like to thank my collaborators and co-authors in the School of Infection and Immunity and the School of Humanities for creating and developing the Battling Infection VR simulation that led to this project. I look forward to discussing this work with you all.